Hey guys, Ryan Potter here with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate, and I'm going to finish up this series here as I'm going through the 12 steps to go through as you're looking to purchase a home for the home buyer here. There's a couple things in here, as we've been doing in this series. I've been comparing it to sailing. Like I read this article on the 12 things you need to know before going sailing for the first time, and it made me think about, hey, what are the 12 steps that I could share with home buyers that might relate to them as they're thinking about purchasing a home, whether it's their first time purchasing or it's their fourth, fifth, or sixth time purchasing. I think all these things that we've covered in this series have been good things to kind of know and to basically go back up on and remind yourself of or educate yourself on again if you're going through the process again. But I want to close this out in our other 3 parts. We've done steps 1 through 6, and actually I'm going to do steps 6 through 12 today to finish up because I think a lot of them kind of go together. And there's really 3 points here that I kind of want to point out to you and to educate you on a little bit. So as it relates to sailing, they said, don't forget about bathing suits and sun protection, which is obvious. A full day on the water means a lot of sea and sun, so be prepared to get wet. And for UV rays, sunglasses, sunscreen, protective clothing should be obvious as wearing a bathing suit in case you have the chance to jump in the water. So that's my point there, and how it relates to us is wear the bathing suit. Get ready to jump in because we're going to get wet. We're going to go through this process, and there's going to be things that you learn. There's going to be things that you may not have known from previous transactions that you may have done. My goal and my job, and what I always tell my clients, is I want to educate you through the process. So hopefully you learn something throughout the process, if not many things. But I hope that as we go from stage 1 to closing, you'll look back and say, man, I'm glad that I had Ryan because he educated me on this. Or I'm glad I went through this experience with Ryan because he taught me this. So that's my goal. My overall goal is obviously to do what's in your best interest as my client and take care of you, protect you, represent you well. But also I want the process to be fun. So that makes me think about getting wet, jumping in the water. We want to have fun. We're taking a huge risk here, but also probably one of the best investments of your entire life. So I want it to be fun, and I want you to have a good time as well, and just get along for the ride because it's going to be fun and jump in. Step 8. If motion sickness is a possibility, bring aids. Staring at the horizon and avoiding certain foods are basic ways to avoid seasickness, but sometimes you need something more. Again, I go back to whether it's your first time, your second time, your third time, your fourth time, you never know if there's going to be certain things that come up that you haven't experienced in the past. So again, it's good to have that realtor that's been there, that's done that can guide you through that process, that can prepare you and provide that medication for you as you go through those experiences and those things, right? So whether that's an inspection, an appraisal, something dealing with the seller on the other hand, or on the other side, or whether it's the agent, whatever the case is, you want somebody that isn't just experienced, but also good in relating communication with all those people as well. Familiar side, so this is a good one. Familiar yourself with the ABCs of sailing. They say learn your sailing vocabulary to ensure communication flow between yourself and the crew, and how that relates to real estate. You obviously want to learn some of the language and the lingo, right? So some things that come along, and again, if this is your first time, you may not know a whole lot of that stuff. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for, and that's to educate you through that. But one thing that kind of comes to mind is a lot this summer that I did is I educated my clients on escalation clause and how does that pertain to the contract and getting the house that we really love and we want, and we don't want anybody else to get it, but there's multiple offers out there, right? Well, we implemented an escalation clause for you. And I can go into more detail about that later, but that's just one thing of like lingo, different things that came to mind for me as far as, okay, I need to know what an escalation clause and how that's implemented. If you don't know, I'll educate you on that, and I'll tell you how we can use that as an advantage when writing an offer when there's multiple offer situations. So that's just one thing that came to mind, but there's going to be a lot of vocabulary and words that you're probably unfamiliar with. Ask your realtor, what do you mean by that? Or what's that word mean? Or how does that relate to us? As many questions as you can ask, the better, because then you're getting educated and you're knowing. And if your real estate agent doesn't know that, you're in trouble. No, I'm just joking. Hopefully they will know since they're in the business and they're in the industry, but if they don't know, they should be able to find out. So, granted, there are some situations there where you're just like, I'm going to have to talk to my broker. I'm going to have to talk to our attorney on hand about this because it's a unique situation. So there are times where it comes where, you got to bring some other parties involved, but as for the most part, just know the ABCs and familiar yourself with some of the vocabulary used in real estate. Step 10 says store your personal items in a waterproof bag to ensure that personal items are kept safe, like your camera. Keep them in a waterproof backpack or duffel bag. How does that relate to real estate? I have no clue. That's one of those things where I was reading that and I'm like, that might be one step there that I don't know how to relate that to real estate. Besides keeping your personal items in a waterproof bag, keep them safe. The one thing that I always talk about is the one thing that could come to mind is just your realtor and protecting you and knowing that you're represented by him. So if you do get into some cases where it does have to go to court or anything like that, you're protected because you have a witness, you have a realtor, and they're licensed in that area, and so they're protecting you. So I guess that's the one thing that does come to mind there and a benefit. And we also have an attorney here at Berkshire Hathaway as well with us, and so if we have any types of questions or situations that come up, a lot of times we run down to him and we say, hey, Brian, tell us a little bit about what you would do in this situation, or is this legal, or can we get out of it? Certain questions and unique situations, again, where it's nice to have those resources. So we have them available there. Step 11, know your role on board the vessel. So this is important too, and what I want to make clear to everybody too. Whether you're sailing for pure enjoyment or learning how to navigate yourself, know your role and where to position yourself. Sailing is work, but it will go smoothly if everyone sticks to their own roles. So how does this relate to us, right? Well, how it relates and what I think is, first and foremost, again, my job is to protect you, to represent you, and to do what's in your best interest, right? So my role is basically to come alongside of you and to guide you through that process, right? So I'm kind of like the ship's navigator or the captain, where I'm driving that ship for you and you're kind of on board with me. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. It's your purchase. You're the one that's going to make that decision. You're the one who writes on that dotted line. And so know your role. If there's something that bothers you about the property, if there's something that comes up within the contract as we're going back and forth and negotiating the contract, know your role. You can speak up. This is your house, right? I'm here to do what you want to do. And so, again, there's some realtors out there that don't necessarily put the best interests of their clients first, and that gets them into a lot of problems. I've learned that that's one of the best things and one of my favorite things to do is to represent you and to do what you want to do, because I know that that's going to help make the transaction go a lot smoother than getting halfway through and being like, you know what, I just don't know if we should have wrote up on this, or I'm second guessing some of the things on the inspection. Well, know your role. You need to speak up and you need to communicate that to me so then I can do my role and communicate that to the other people, right? So again, our job is to do what's best in your interest, to protect you and to advise you on certain things, right? But at the end of the day, you're the one making the ultimate decisions. So I wanted to make that clear. And then the last thing here, step 12, practice an extra crew if you want to learn how to sail independently down the road. This is funny and key right here. Whatever you do, don't try to sail a boat by yourself on your first time out. There are no amounts of videos, tutorials, or manuals that make up for a lack of experience. The thought that comes to mind right away with this is for sale by owners, right? You get those people out there that think that they can sell their house, they can handle the transaction, and they can do everything. When they've never sold a house before in their life, they don't know the laws, they don't know everything else that's going on out there. So I always say to my buyers who are buying, why are you not being represented? It doesn't cost you anything. And what that for sale by owner is going to try to do is, hey, let's cut the agent out and let's just deal with this man to man and let's just do this together. Okay, sounds great when you're thinking about saving some money. At the end of the day, you're saving the seller money. You're not saving yourself any money, right? For one. For two, you're getting into a situation now where if there is an issue that comes up and there is something that comes back on the inspection or the appraisal or whatever the case is, now you have no one to represent you, and now it's just your word versus his word, and now you're trying to negotiate and do a deal when you've got no one to protect you. And it doesn't make any sense to me why you would ever go buy a house without being protected by a realtor, because they know the laws, they know how to negotiate, they know how to protect you if they do it right and they do it well, and they know how to represent you, right? And so again, we're looking out for your best interests, and we're going to fight for you. We're going to go to bat for you. We're going to do that. And some people, I think, get so caught up in this, oh, I'm helping the seller out because I'm saving them a couple $1,000s. Great, you just did them a favor, but you didn't do yourself any favors. Because now if something does come up, who are you going to go to represent you? It just boggles my mind when I think about it, and it makes me really frustrated and irritated sometimes, because I've had close friends and family try to do that, and they run into all these crazy issues, and then what happens? They call me, and they want to know, hey, Ryan, what do we do in this situation? And I can't do anything, because legally, I'm not tied into that contract anymore, so I can't help you. I can't give you advice. I can't do anything, because if I do, that could come back on me, and I could lose my license. So again, if you're going to buy a house, get represented by someone that is experienced, reliable, that knows what they're doing, and that is going to keep your best interests in mind. So with that, thank you for tuning into this series. I hope it has been beneficial. I'm working on a couple more series here that'll be coming out soon, and I think it's going to be quite the change for you. I'm going to be trying to relate stories and different things into these new series for you, so that it will relate more with you, I hope. So again, if you want to check me out on different platforms, realtorpotter.com. That's where all my social media platforms are. You obviously have my YouTube now. Check me out on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever it is. It's all there on realtorpotter.com. I look forward to touching base with you soon. Thanks for tuning in. And if you have any questions or comments, you know where to find me, realtorpotter.com. Thanks a lot.